Welcome to Millionaire Unfiltered, where we dive deep into the raw realities of escaping the matrix, how money works, entrepreneurship, the 5 pillars of success, and the unfiltered journey to millionaire status. I'm Hannah Thorsen, your host, and I thank you for taking part in this unapologetic exploration of financial wisdom, entrepreneurship, and the Gen Z perspective on building authentic wealth. In each episode, we're bringing you real talk, real stories, and real strategies to help you unlock your Gen Z millionaire mindset. Being a millionaire is more than just about having millions. It's a mindset and a lifestyle. We don't mess around here, so if you get offended, well, looks like there's some things you need to work on. This is the Millionaire Unfiltered podcast, where purpose meets millions. Well, hello. You're back again, I see. This is your first time, then you need to go back to the 4 episodes because you're missing out on some banger content, man. But welcome back to Millionaire Unfiltered. Here I like to talk about the 5 pillars of success that I personally created that I believe are pillars that people genuinely need to stand on if they want to be deemed successful, which are empathy, purpose, connection, finance, and health. There's a lot of different nuances within each of these pillars, but I'd just like to kind of dive deep into them because, sometimes people think that, you need to have all the money in order to get things figured out, or you need to have all the relationships, or you need to have all the hoes, or you need to have all the connections, or you need to have all the cars, or you need to have all the books and all the knowledge, you need to have all the smarts, you need to have everything, and you really don't. There's a lot more to life than just being quote-unquote a millionaire and having a lot of money. There's a lot more to it. So today's podcast episode is going to be heavily catered around purpose and connection. And I have the honor of introducing somebody that I met on X. His name is Iggy Gibson. He's a 21-year young entrepreneur, and his main vision is retiring his parents and putting his mom in a beach house somewhere warm while making his way to a 7-figure income. He also wants to build a massive network of trusted entrepreneurs through teaching an entrepreneurial mindset development course, as he's been through this course with his personal mentor for the last 2 years. I already know that he's destined for so much more than just what he's doing now, as am I and as are you. But he's a really cool guy, and I'm really excited to get on this podcast just because we talked a bit previously about love and just kind of diving deep into maybe some topics that you wouldn't necessarily imagine we would dive into, on an entrepreneurial journey. But I think it's important to show you the rawness of the fact that we're not just entrepreneurs, we're human too. So without any further ado, I want to welcome Iggy Gibson. Thank you so much for being here today, Isaac. I'm honestly really fucking excited for this just because, we met previously and I feel like we vibed on a lot of different areas. But that being said, I don't want to waste any time or anything. So just tell us who you are. Tell us about, Iggy Gibson, where you came from, where you're going, kind of the things that you're working on. Just a little bit about your story.
Well, currently, as you said, I am Isaac Gibson, formally introducing myself to everybody watching. As of right now, I play a pivotal role in the success and the development of budding entrepreneurs. I belong to a major corporation that works with world-renowned companies all the time. What we really do, or like what our real mission is, or you know, what we want to do to affect the world. We want to essentially create change, and we want to provide value and like sort of mentorship to the levels that aren't really seen today on the internet. A lot of these gurus, you like to say, come on to here and be like, for example, I'm sure you see it all the time. Like, I gained 500 followers in 4.5 weeks. Follow this simple 3-step process and DM me blank to learn more, and then they try to sell you that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't really get much out of it except for a little ebook they maybe spent a week on, and we want to enact change in that kind of spaces. We want to offer like one-on-one personalized help from the very basics of getting your mindset in the right order to scaling a six, seven, eight-figure business to more than what you're already currently making. But as for that, that's what I'm currently doing right now. A part of my story, I grew up in I don't want to say a small town, but it has a lot of small town thinkers.
Mm.
There's like 150,000 people. Some of these bigger city folks might think that's a small town or something. That's just decently sized to me. But I grew up there, southern Indiana. I um didn't really have much of a social life, mostly because all I did growing up was do stuff with my family. I never really hung out with friends from school except for like a close two or three that I had that were already family friends. So I wasn't like super outgoing, super adventurous as a kid. I mean, I did all the normal kid stuff. I'd like to run through the woods and whatnot, but
Right.
like I didn't do a lot of. I wasn't very social as a kid, I guess. And growing up, I played baseball. That was like one consistent all the way through my life, from the time I was 2 to the time I graduated high school. That was something that I always had looked forward to, something that I always did, and I grew a real love for it. But I never wanted to pursue a path beyond high school or beyond college and go to like professional leagues. I just didn't feel like it was for me or it would be for me. So growing up, it was really kind of just a struggle of finding what interests me. Because, like I said, I didn't really do all that much socially to like kind of expand upon what I really liked and what I didn't like. But I grew up with divorced parents as well. They got divorced. My dad and my mom got divorced when I was in about fifth grade. And that kind of like wrecked my social life even more because now I had to balance seeing mom on Monday, seeing dad on Tuesday. Where are my friends at? Oh wait, I
Right.
don't have any because I'm not a social kid. But yeah, that's just kind of how I grew up. I've really been starting to take charge of that. I'm way more social than I am now. I love going. I love talking to people. I love just chatting, even if it's about the stupidest things. I don't care. Just as long as I get to run my mouth and get to learn stuff from other people, it's what I enjoy doing.
Yeah, no, I resonate with that too. I was a quiet kid. I feel like I'm still pretty introverted now. Like I like I'll be honest, the last, I guess I've been doing what I do for about like 8 months now, and I've still been extremely introverted. I haven't been like just going out and making friends or
Mhm.
anything. But because it's been that long now, like I'm literally at a point right now where I'm like, I need to make friends. Like I'm not as introverted as I thought I was. Like I actually
Right.
do need genuine human connection. It's like it is more than just business too. That's another thing I'm learning is like
Mhm.
business, it directly correlates with making friends and with kind of like building those relationships.
Right.
The money and the success, the abundance, the wealth, all of that comes from the friendship making and the relationship building, not
Mhm.
so I got to 500 followers.
And I'll teach you exactly how to do so. That oh no, party foul.
You're all good. You're all good. It's millionaire
But
unfiltered, so everything is raw as fuck out here.
good. I would like to add that is one thing that we really, really, really hit on the head is relational over transactional in a business sense. As obviously as you scale up and as you get to more corporate levels where it's literally just business to business, those are purely transactional. If it's like me to you, I'm trying to sell you on some simple life insurance or whatever I could even sell you on. I'd want to be your friend first. That builds that trust. And with that trust, you kind of morph that relationship. once you get that relationship built, people are more likely to say yes, no matter how good the offer is, no matter how
It could
cheap
be
it may be,
shit.
or no
It could be
matter
a shit offer. It could be
literally.
like even like it's your first offer and you don't even know if it's good. But like, yeah, you're right. Having that, building that trust, that foundational trust, so
Mhm.
like no matter what you have, it's never about the services or the products. It's always about that. Yeah, like you said,
Right.
that relation. So yeah,
That initial trust that you can give to people.
yeah, I love that. Well, I've got a couple questions for you. Since today
I
we're
got a
gonna
couple.
be today we're going to be focusing, I know you wanted to focus a lot on connection and purpose. So those are going to be kind of what we're going over today, but just want to ask, I mean, when did you first find your purpose, and did you know that it was your purpose when you found it, or kind of take us through that process?
Um, it's kind of tricky. It's a very tricky question to ask. Finding one's purpose, I don't think we know we will ever truly know to the extent of what our purpose is until everything is all said and done, until we are gone from this life. So I think it's very tricky to, or it's just kind of hard to pinpoint what exactly is my purpose. You can leave it at like a broad explanation, and for me, I would say that would be to help people like realize that there's more to life than wake up, drink a little coffee, drive 30 minutes to work, work 8 hours, drive 30 minutes back. Oh, and then you go to sleep in 2 hours. That's no fun. Nobody wants to really do that. Um, so I like helping people that are essentially two steps behind me whenever I started my so-called journey, I guess. On a more deeper level, I kind of just want to like bridge the connection between humanity back. Like we have fallen so far from God, we have fallen so far from each other that we are we're just not in a good spot in humanity. Like as a society as a whole, it's
We're extremely disconnected. Yeah.
yeah, like we all hate each other, but for what reason? Because the media tells us to. It just doesn't resonate with me, and I want to be a changing factor in that. I want to sort of not necessarily be like Andrew Tate, but do something to his scale to where like he is able to bring millions and millions and millions of people worldwide together just with a simple message as he does.
No, I resonate with that, honestly. I haven't really told very many people like my beliefs on Andrew Tate. I There's some things that he said that is very controversial, but I also think that he says the things that he does to be able to gain that publicity, and I think that there's you have to be controversial. You have to kind of have certain beliefs that are really polarizing in order for people to take you seriously. And it's unfortunate because when you gain the level of authority that Andrew has, um, NPCs and people that haven't awoken yet, they can take the controversial things as almost pure fact and almost as if that one thing that he said is how they will go about their entire life. Like
Mhm.
instead of like if they see something that he said, then they'll be like, "Oh, okay. Well, let me learn more about this guy. Let me see like, what else he's talked about. Let me see the people he's surrounding himself with, and like actually diving more into like he's got his I think he has like his tenets and like his principles that he follows. But it's like even in that vein, you don't have to believe every single thing that somebody else does, and
Right.
you don't have to follow exactly in their footsteps in order to pursue what you want to. So I'd have to agree. I It's kind of funny their names are similar. I've always been trying to follow in the footsteps of Andrew Carnegie because he was very philanthropic, and he's essentially the richest man of all time. If he were still alive today, he'd be worth like 350, 360 billion. So that's actually what that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to beat what Andrew Carnegie essentially made for himself. But yeah, I mean, this was something that I was talking about with somebody. I hopped on a meeting with somebody, and they were telling me how uh, they didn't want to essentially work with me because I work with BlackRock, and they've heard that BlackRock has, they're a part of the Federal Reserve, and it's really sus, and that they can, like, kind of swindle people, and they have a lot of things that they can be like, they might be doing, like, underlying their business structure because of how massive they are. And I just told them, I was like, everything that we're participating in, whether you like it or not, was built off of some basis of corruption. It was built off of some person that did have some sort of shitty belief, unfortunately, to capitalize off of other people. But that doesn't mean that I align with that person. It doesn't mean that I align with that corruption. It doesn't mean I align with that capitalism. How I kind of brought it up was like, hey man, if you don't like the corruption that you're seeing, who do you trust to handle your money? If it's not like, if it's yourself, but you don't know how to handle money, then it's like you don't trust anybody, so you're just going to leave yourself in a bad situation. Like, where I'm coming from is, yeah, I might be working with massive corporations where I don't know necessarily everybody's intentions within that company, but I know that I work with integrity, I work with authenticity, and if anything, I can kind of build myself, build my reputation, build my team, and build this integrity from the inside out, and kind of like, kind
Hmm.
of filter through the system almost, and make it where, we bring more of that connection together. But that being said, beyond professional success and recognition, what so with purpose, like you said, it's hard because, like, some people you have to search for it, some people just kind of find it. Like, for me, I just randomly found it in 6th grade. Like, I met a friend, he introduced me to Markiplier, and all of a sudden I knew my purpose. Like, but even then, like, your purpose, it changes throughout your life, your passions and your purpose will generally stay the same. I genuinely believe my purpose is to help people realize their highest potential and achieve that highest potential. But that purpose, how I carry out that purpose might change throughout my life. And who knows, maybe when I turn 60, my purpose will turn into, I don't know, becoming the next Mahatma Gandhi. I don't even know. But that being said, like, what deeper meaning or purpose genuinely drives you, and how does this sense of purpose kind of influence your decision making and your priorities, and how you go about not just life but business in general, but not just business but life in general?
um, Simply my mom. That she is probably the biggest reason I do anything that I do. I've seen her sacrifice years and years of her life just for the betterment of me and my sister and my brother. And at times, I see that my sister and my brother, who live with her now or who live near her now, since I moved away, but I see that they don't really have the same love for her that I do. And I kind of came to the realization that if no one is going to do, like, love her the way that she deserves to be loved, it's going to have to be me. And I've kind of just like based all of my decisions mm, around her, like what would make her happiest, what would put her in a better position. And that's really my driving purpose, the reason why I do what I do, the reason why I'm out here trying to make something out of myself, trying to build a living with helping others, is to essentially just help my mom, because watching her, one, get cheated on by my dad, two, deal with a daughter that that did eventually become an addict and became homeless, but she's back now. She's good. She's been through therapy and everything. So
That's good.
props to her. I'm happy
Yeah,
for her.
yeah.
But he's just been through a lot of shit that I don't even know about, that I just grew up watching. I didn't understand until I started growing up, and I don't know, it's just I have a deep desire to just put a smile on my mom's face. That's really the very basic purpose for
I
what I
love
wanna
that.
do.
I love that. I resonate with that. I don't know if my parents are directly correlated to my purpose, just maybe because of the things that they've put me through. But in the same vein, I love to forgive and I understand childhood traumas and I understand, um, that maybe like my mom, for example, we had our falling out and, she left me homeless. But I forgave her and I understood that, like, my parents divorced. Divorce was first brought up when I was 10 years old, and then that kind of cycle perpetuated for about 8 years. So they actually got divorced pretty much right when I turned 18. But one thing I had failed to see throughout my entire childhood was that she was chasing my dad this whole time. She was not pursuing her passion. She wasn't pursuing her purpose. She gave up all of her entrepreneurial endeavors. She was just taking care of me, and pretty much just gave up all of her passions to pursue this guy. And I didn't really see that, and so I understood why she was maybe feeling a bit upset when I was pursuing my entrepreneurial endeavors and feeling like maybe I was lazy because she works like she works like six days a week. Like she works hella and she prides herself on her work ethic and just how just yeah, she's an incredibly hardworking woman. And the night that we had the falling out where I ended up going homeless, she it was all over a pan in the sink. It was really childish. I just made dinner and put the pan in the sink, went to go eat, and then 30 minutes later, she wanted to go fill up something in the sink. I had just filled up the dishwasher, and she was upset that I hadn't cleaned the pan, even though I was still eating. And that just led to an argument of pretty much saying that I'm just lazy and that I don't really work that hard. And I understood now that those were just projections of what happened with her and my dad, where she was not able to pursue her passions, and my dad probably perceived her as lazy because she was just a stay-at-home mom and being there for me, but not actually going out and making money for the family. But in the same vein, he didn't really want her to because he wanted to be the moneymaker. So just interesting because it's like I've had to overcome all of my own traumas from what they put me through, but also being like, why did they put me through this? What are they going through in their own lives and their own minds that are causing them to feel this way or make them feel like it's genuinely a projection that, like, her saying and thinking that I am lazy and that I'm not supposed to be doing an entrepreneurship kind of thing and I'm supposed to be doing 9 to 5. That is quite literally a projection of herself thinking that she can't be an entrepreneur. And it's like, oh, no, mom, like, you deserve so much more. Like, you don't
Right.
deserve to be working 6 days a week and like slaving away. And like, one of her jobs, she loves it, and I'm very happy for her because she does feel like she's a part of a tribe, and she deserves that. But in the same vein, she also deserves to be in Hawaii, like sipping mai tais
Right.
on the beach, having a good time with a new hubby. So yeah, I can relate. I don't know if necessarily it's part of my purpose, but maybe it is. Maybe that's just my a little bit of my trauma talking where I'm like, I don't know if it's part of my purpose, but.
It might be, like you said, I think regardless of any events that happen between an individual and their parents, they should always have a special spot for your parents. I mean, you should always do that. They're the ones that brought you into this world. Without them, there is quite literally no you. And regardless of how shitty they may have been, I've never experienced childhood trauma, so this is just from my perspective. But no, regardless of how shitty they have been towards you, you should always, like you said, have that forgiveness because you don't know what they've gone through, what they're going through. They have their own personal lives, their own personal problems, and as parents, they try to hide those. So growing up as kids, you don't really see or understand what they're going through. And I think this is one thing about growing up is being able to understand your parents' situations at the time when they were raising you, being able to understand how and why they treated you, what ways they did, and really just coming to terms that they didn't, they probably didn't do it out of spite for you. They did it out of spite for themselves. Kind of like you said with projection. They have all these built up negative emotions. They have nowhere else to take them out on except for you as a kid. Yeah, you end up being the victim. It's fucked up to say that. It's fucked up that it's like that, but that's how it is.
Yeah, and it even I already feel an anxiety talking about it where it's like I don't, when we release this, I don't want my mom to think I'm talking shit about her, but it's like and I'm not. It's just like, hey, this
Mhm.
happened between us, but I accept it, I forgive it. We're actually back on better terms now, I actually reached out to her back in
Good.
December and we've just been kind of rekindling things. She apologized to me for how things went. I apologized to her for my reactions and things have been a lot better. And I think we realized, living together, that's kind of what caused everything to happen because it was like, yeah, we were living together. So it makes sense why after only three
Mhm.
months, all of our old childhood stuff kind of came back and made a really uncomfortable dynamic between us. But that being said, life sucks sometimes. Unexpected things happen. We lose the people that we love, or we get unexpected news of our loved ones being in the hospital. This is what happened to me recently, and same for you. So, how do you maintain love and mental health for yourself while you're going through, these really hard times where, the people around you are kind of suffering and you feel like there's not much you can do about it?
Faith. Um, I just have a lot of faith in God and the Creator and the unknown that everything is happening. Like, as cliche as it is, everything really does happen for a reason, and I believe everything like is happening for a reason. And whether it might suck right now, whether your girlfriend just left you, or whether your mom just died, yes, it's not gonna be easy. It's never really gonna be easy. You never really figure it out. But the best way to approach it is to obviously mourn, deal with your negative emotions, and then realize that once that time for grievance is over, that you have to continue on with your life. Like, time is not going to stop for you. So that's one thing that I've really kind of tried to master myself is like when shit hits the fan's going to keep spinning regardless of shit being on it or not. You just got to keep going, and you can't let one negative event. Now, if it's to the extreme of like a family member dying or passing away or something, then yeah, obviously it's going to affect you, but you can't let it hold you back all the way because, especially in our position, we are young as fuck. Something like a parent dying might destroy our livelihood and destroy our mental, but what if we just let it, like, what if we just let it destroy us like that? Where are we going to be in 5 years? The same position we are in right now? And just look at it as like if you let things hold you back, weigh you down, you're just not going to go anywhere. You can't climb up a hill if you got a fucking 100-pound ball and chain on your ankle holding you back. And it's all goes back to faith that, yeah, if it's something I can't control, I'm not gonna try and control it. If it's something I can control, I'm gonna do my best to control it the way that I want. And just have, like I've been saying, having faith in the unknown, having faith that things are gonna work out regardless of how it looks now. And it just comes down to trusting in yourself, trusting in the universe, and trusting in God.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm all about faith, and this also goes into like the law of duality. I genuinely believe when every single time I go through something horrible or I get some bad news or anything like that, I always allow myself to feel and sit in that, emotion and then
Mhm.
eventually release it. But whenever anything bad happens, I always see it as something else good is opening, like in that moment. And so I'm almost like I'm allowing myself to release my emotions so that way I can open up my energy field back up to receiving what is next almost. Because it's like I've been through so much adversity now throughout my life. Like I literally like wrote a tweet about it and pinned it because I was just like I actually went through so much and I didn't even realize it. But like when I look back through all of that, every time I've gone through something horrible, something amazing came after. And sometimes it took a couple weeks, couple months, maybe a year, but in any case, everything always turned around for me. Um,
Right.
and it was because of that faith that I had. I grew up a bit agnostic. I knew that there was something there. I knew there was something in this world that was loving, and there was some sort of creator, but I wasn't really sure what. And I actually became spiritually awakened fully when Matthew ended up passing away. It was really ironic because he had a pituitary tumor, and that's like where your spiritual center is. And it's just crazy that I happened to become spiritually awakened after all that happened. But
I would like to add
yeah,
about the law of duality
yeah.
that I'm a firm believer in it as well, and I just look at it from like the perspective of balance. Like this is your life. Something bad really happened, and something good got to happen to balance it out. And then it's just like like an ever evolving just scale. Like bad happens, and then simply it comes down, and then the good evens it out. And that's kind of just that goes in part with like being resilient, understanding that it's just gonna happen. It's life. It's the ups and downs. It's the only thing we ever really do. So what would it be without the lows and all the highs?
Oh yeah, you brought me back on track too, and yeah. So like I agree with that, and I feel like all my life I've been naturally positive, and I think that that's what's been kind of getting me through my adversities. And I didn't realize that I was agnostic, and I had faith in something that I didn't know what I had faith in. So when I became spiritually awakened, then I realized like how important my energy was, how my positivity was actually getting me through. And then I was reminded, I actually think I manifested my dog because I'm for real, dead ass, because it was in sixth grade. I had a dog poster like next to my bed, and I had like 16 breeds, and I like Sharpie circled all the ones that I wanted, and I would just be like, God, I want this one, but maybe this one, but I could settle for this one too. And eventually, it got to a point where I was just like, I stopped looking at the board. It was still there, but I was like, if I get a dog, I get a dog. If I don't, I don't. And then like a week later, Sasha came. My mom randomly surprised her. Came home from school. She was sitting in her little kennel. I was like, oh my gosh. But it was like,
I got a dog.
yeah, yeah. And I had no idea. I just recently like remembered this and I was like, oh my gosh. Like I was like, okay, what were my habits that I was doing back then that was kind of, that made something
Mhm.
like that happen? And I realized I was praying twice a day, morning and night. And I stopped doing that because I grew up kind of in a religious household, but then things got really crazy and like overly religious to the point where I became agnostic and I was like, I don't even know what I believe in anymore. And now I came back to it where like now I'm praying every day again. I'm praying, morning and night, and I'm, kind of conversing with the universe throughout the day, kind of, just checking in with myself and my vibes and whatnot. But it's just interesting that like even though I didn't necessarily have that faith, like genuinely, it was still keeping me going. And it's just interesting to think about that. How you like faith can be the size of a mustard seed, and it'll still get you
Right.
so far. So I'll be honest, this is something that I struggle with to this day. I'm not somebody who likes day-to-day operational things. I don't like having to know the ins and outs of every single product, every single service that I offer. I don't like having to be this. I don't like operational stuff. I don't like it,
I don't either.
and because of this, sometimes I could feel like I'm not in the right career or I'm not doing the right thing, even though I know I am because I'm helping people. So, like, I know that, like, I have to do the operational things in order to get to where I want to go, but I still sometimes have that feeling of being lost. So, how do you go about that feeling, especially when you are doing something you genuinely believe in?
Um, I'm glad you asked this because it's something I really am dealing with now, as you are, the day-to-day operational learning each and every little thing about what it is that we do. And I'm looking at it from a perspective as it's got to get done. Someone's got to do it. And I want to be able to put myself in a position within our company to have a team under me. How am I going to be able to run a team if I don't know the ins and outs of everything that my team is going to be doing? And yes, it sucks. It is probably the worst part about starting a business or starting anything is learning the ins and outs, unless you're like the super analytical type and you just love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, then kudos for you. You're gonna win
And
instantly.
right. But like I was saying, just keeping an eye on the bigger picture while you're doing the little dirty work is what keeps me going, is what keeps me doing the day to day, the ins and the outs of everything. Because I know eventually, if I keep at it at this rate for another 3, another 6, maybe even another year, I'll be extremely proficient in it, and I can start delegating those tasks to other people, and then I know I'd be able to, with confidence, give them the answers that they're looking for within whatever it is I'm doing. If I'm the CMO in a company and I'm dealing with marketing and all that stuff, I'm gonna have to know how to market before I can tell someone else how to market, and that's really just how I look at it.
Yeah, yeah, that's the magic is in the action, honestly, and
Mhm.
yeah, that's kind of what like because honestly, I want to say it was probably like 2 weeks ago. I kind of had just like a little bit of a mental health day where I was just like, gosh, like is this for me? Like, am I in the right? Like, I've been here for 8 months, It's just like, am I really doing the right thing? And I just like, I got so down on myself. And then I just kind of like, I sat with myself. I kind of journaled out what I was feeling. And I was like, what is it about this that I don't like? What makes me feel like this isn't for me? And I really dived into it. And you know what I fucking, well, you know what I realized?
Hmm.
I felt like it wasn't for me because I was being a pussy. Like dead ass, what was holding me back was I wasn't wanting to go on meetings. I wasn't wanting to go on appointments because every time I would, I'd have this deep dread, this misery. It just felt like agonizing.
Mhm.
Like right before hopping on a call, I'd just be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to get on this call. I don't know why. I want to talk to the person and I want to get to know them and all that, but there was just this deep dread and I wasn't putting in the action to just do it. I wasn't putting in the action to just get over my fears. So it was just funny because it was like, I'm having this mental health day where I'm like, oh, I'm so lost. And then my realization is, oh, I'm just a pussy. That's all it
Right,
is.
right. Yeah, that feeling of fear or like that pit, I don't think it ever really goes away, no matter how long you do something, no matter how much you do something, no matter how confident you are in doing something. It's always there. It's just comes down to the fact of, are you going to let it control you? Are you gonna, like you said, are you gonna be a pussy and let it stop you, or are you just gonna do it? And the only way to really get rid of that feeling, because before every call, you could have 1,000 calls set up for the next however long. Every single one of those 1,000 calls, you're more than likely going to feel that hit, that feeling. In each call, you're going to be able to, one, better understand that feeling, and two, be able to tackle it easier because you're like, oh, this feeling is a bitch. This feeling has no control over me. It's just a feeling. It's not a part of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We are so aligned as it's 111 on the timer. Oh my gosh.
Is it really?
Yeah. Can you share a moment when you recognized the early signs of burnout in yourself or in a colleague? And what actions did you take to address those warning signs? And what long-term strategies did you implement to prevent that burnout from happening again?
So I'm going to start. Um, Burnout can be perceived in two ways. A lot of people think burnout is you just work so hard for so long that like you don't want to do it. There's a difference between wanting to do something and physically not being able to do something. I see burnout as you go to the gym 3 times a day, and at the end of the week, you can't physically move because you have burnt yourself out. You have literally almost killed yourself working out all day long. And I think it's a little bit of misunderstanding and a little bit of entitlement whenever I hear people talk about burnout because, like, just how modern society is, our brains have been kind of like short circuited, and we want things to come faster than what they really should. Like this instant gratification filled society, a lot of people think, oh, I could sit here on my computer and type away doing whatever I want or doing whatever I need to do for my business for 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. And I'm going to get burnt out eventually. You're not going to get burnt out. You're not doing anything but typing and using your brain. You're not going to send yourself to the ICU because you were typing too hard on your computer. That's not really what I see burnout as. Maybe from a not so physical standpoint, burnout can be just like overdoing yourself, where you are at a point where you can't think straight, where you can't physically operate as a human being. That's what I see as the level of burnout. But to answer your question, after saying that, I don't think I've ever really experienced someone reach those extreme levels of burnout where they are physically and mentally incapable of doing anything. But the first way I describe burnout, which is how it's perceived by a lot of people, is not really getting burnt out. It's just like you're overwhelming yourself with your work, your thoughts, and doing whatever it is that you need to be doing for your business. You don't have a balance. You could be working on your business 12 hours a day for 5 days or 7 days. Of course, you're going to get burnt out. That's all you do. Um, and whenever I help or like whenever I deal with some of my students, some of my clients with reaching those levels of burnout, is I tell them simply just go outside, go for a walk, do something that you enjoy, something that you love. Life shouldn't just be work, 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 work. It should be work, fun, work, fun, work, fun. You should have a balance between it. And I try to portray that to them to like, okay, if you don't feel like working on project or something, don't completely forego it. Go read a book, go sit outside, go walk in nature, go do something that puts a smile on your face and brings you a sense of calmness, and then come back. Tell me how burnt out you feel.
Yeah, I relate to that. I think for me personally, I experienced burnout, and I can relate to all of that with people kind of correlating burnout to that instant gratification and whatnot. I'd say the first time I genuinely experienced burnout, like to an extreme, was pretty much when everything happened with Matthew. I was working with him in art shops for about 9 months at that point. I'd lost 30 pounds just sitting in the chair, literally typing, and just like basically, I was learning how to become a CEO. I had just turned 21, and they had like just pretty much like, "Do you want to be a CEO?" And I was like, uh, sure. I was just here to be a content creator, but okay, I could try that. And um, yeah, I kind of slaved away for those 9 months, but I had no self love. I had work, work, work. I had the mentality of other people's masks on before my own. I had, I've got to put in all this raw commitment and dedication, and I have to sacrifice all of my health, but just for a little bit. It's going to be fine. 9 months went by. I ended up in the hospital too after Matthew, because I was severely dehydrated, and I was just like, I literally looked like a vampire. I was like the color of like copy paper. It was terrible, and I had just like completely, essentially killed myself. But that burnout, after I was able to kind of step away from that, and kind of get back into my self love, and I had somebody that pivoted me into realizing the importance of my self love. Stepped away from it, and I didn't feel burnt out anymore, and I kind of felt back on like, oh, okay, my
Mhm.
purpose still there, my passion is still there. Maybe it's just not pursuing it in that way, and maybe in a different way. So yeah, no, I definitely, I think people need to, whenever they start experiencing any kind of burnout, in a sense, they need to evaluate their current situation and how much they're prioritizing that work life
Right,
balance, like you were saying.
right. And I think rest between work and life plays a huge part in it. It's a non-negotiable for me to get 8 hours of sleep, regardless of what time I go to sleep, because I feel like that is truly important whenever it comes to being able to have a good focused work day. Um, you're functioning right, you're doing everything right, and people don't realize that even like missing 2 hours of sleep can set you so far off path mentally, can provide a lot of brain fog, provide a lot of unclearness, I don't know. You're just not able to focus, and rest is huge. If you can have a decent balance between work and life, maybe like a 65-35 work life balance or whatever, and get adequate rest, the chances of you experiencing burnout are super, super low.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why uh, I don't. It's interesting because I've learned that there's people have different circadian rhythms. So certain people actually do really well if they sleep on like 4 or 6 hours of sleep. I'm one of those weirdos where I actually am pretty good at on 4 to 6 hours of sleep. But there are like, I don't remember where I got it from. You might have to look it up, but it was something like you're either like a wolf or an owl or a bear or something. It was some sort of something on Google, and it was pretty much just saying how there's different people that have different circadian rhythms. Some people function better in the morning, some people function better more in the evening. So I find that like I do better with like 4 to 6 hours of sleep, but I also do, it's interesting because like I don't like to wake up really early in the morning, but um I can still function well in the morning if I wake up for like 2 hours. Like my body has to like almost warm up and whatnot, and like have like 1 to 2 hours of just being awake, and then I'll be good. So it's really weird. Human bodies are so bizarre.
Yeah, I know. Is it the bear, wolf, lion, dolphin?
Yes, yes.
There we go.
I'm glad I remembered it. Shit, I was I think I'm pulling something out of my ass, but I'm not sure. Thank you for correcting me, or yeah, pulling that up.
Dolphins wake up from sleep unrested, struggle with napping, and often are tired throughout the day with a spurt of energy in the evening.
Hmm.
Lions get up early with plenty of energy and they're sharpest in the morning. Bears follow the typical night day schedule and sleep well, though it might take them longer to get going in the morning. Um, I think that might be me. Wolves
Okay.
are essentially night owls. They tend to be most active and alert in the early evening hours and are somewhat out of sync with the rest of the world.
I think that's me. I think that's me. Oh
We
gosh.
got a bear and a wolf.
Yo. Hey, that's the kind of pack I like. Oh yeah, man. Well, yeah. So I guess I got two more questions. They're a little bit deeper, and the last one is super deep. So if you don't want to get into it, you don't have to. Um,
Okay.
but just reflecting on your experiences, how do you genuinely define success in terms of health and well-being?
So every night in my prayer, I pray for happiness, health, and wealth. Um, I think wealth as a whole doesn't include just monetary values. You could have $1 billion in your bank account and have no family, have no friends, be working 12 hours each and every day. Are you really wealthy or are you just rich? I see health, happiness, and well being, and wealth, they all exist as one. You have to have, like we've been saying, life is all about ups and downs, and you got to maintain a balance between everything. If you have your financial success all the way up here, but your relational success down here, you're not going to be wealthy. You're not going to be happy. I would much rather have $250,000 and a great network of friends and family than $1 billion and nobody. It's really just maintaining all aspects of your life, your emotions, your mental outlook on life, your career, your relationships, your network, just every aspect of life has to be in check for someone to truly achieve happiness. And it doesn't have to be a perfect balance. There doesn't have to be like a number value. Just make sure that you're tending to what needs to be tended to and not just throwing something on the back burner like making friends or creating new connections just because you're chasing after some money.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have too much to add, honestly. That you just took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, yeah, I agree. So yeah, I mean, I guess the last thing, I don't. Okay, so it has to pertain with love. Love has been something that I have. I am a huge. I'm such a sucker for love. I'm a very romantic person. I love love in every capacity, and I've always it's always it, maybe that's part of my purpose. I feel like I've always been kind of just wanting someone to enjoy my journey with, and maybe change the world with. Um, but I think the hesitation that I'm having right now is coming from I I believe I found my twin flame. I believe I found my other half back in 2018. And, I was kind of perpetuating a hero victim cycle with her almost. And, I was kind of chasing her for, close to 6 years now. And I still feel like, I've completely, removed myself from her now because I don't want to continue that cycle between us. I still love her very much, but, um, you know, uh, I still feel like part of my purpose is I don't know if it's necessarily to be with her, but I feel like I'm meant to be pursuing what I'm doing with somebody by my side, and it's just a very undescribable feeling. So I know that we kind of talked about love a little bit before, but I'm just curious. Does love have any impact with you? What does it mean to you? Um, and yeah, just like how do you practice love on a daily basis going into things? And yeah, just like if there is I guess my question is like, can you relate to that aspect of meeting somebody and them being kind of part of a reason why you're trying to do what you do?
Yeah. Um, First, I'd like to say that for everybody, love should be a non negotiable. You should love everybody. You should love everything, regardless of whether it's good or bad. Someone's good or bad. You should just show love because, I don't know, that's just how it is. Love provides great results. you're gonna get more out of giving love than giving hatred or giving negativity. Um, how I go about showing love in the day to day is just like putting out a positive attitude, putting out my best attempt at whatever it is I'm doing that day, and just not being an asshole. It's it's that simple, but some people seem to forego that because emotions, you get caught up with your emotions and you might be having a bad day, so you feel entitled to make someone else's day bad. Wouldn't it make your day better to make someone else's day better? If
Right?
making someone's day bad makes their day bad, try the opposite and see how you
Yeah.
can make something better. But as you were saying, I really do relate to what you were saying about being in that cycle with your twin flame. As we were talking last time, the girl I was telling you about, we actually started talking again, and
Dang.
I stayed the night with her this weekend actually. Um, so I feel like just having not only the willingness to put love out into the universe, out into the air each and every day, the willingness or like being able to receive it from someone who truly does care about you on a personal level can do so much for you. Um, I want to. What am I trying to say? I perceive love the way that it was given to me from my mom and how I treat her whenever I am going into like a relational aspect. Like if I want someone to be my wife, because I'm not here just to date somebody. I don't want to waste my time. I'm grown. I have shit to do in life. And like if they don't reach that standard of caring and that standard of selflessness towards me that my mom has, it's a no go. If someone's not willing to show the love that I'm putting in, it's a no go. You should never put in more than what someone else is giving you, because then that creates unbalance. That creates kind of like a negative, kind of creates a negative connotation with that person subconsciously. Is to like, I feel like I'm doing more than they are, but you still love them, so you're not gonna like hate them or anything. But when it comes down to it, I think love is just something that we all need. It's like I said at the start, it's a non-negotiable. Nobody should really go without love. Everybody deserves love. Doesn't matter whether you're a serial killer or whether you're a newborn baby. Everybody craves love because that is, in my opinion, the truest, the most strongest emotion, the strongest feeling that we can experience or that I've experienced personally. And it's amazing. It's literally like a drug.
It really is. No, I totally agree. And man, like I wear my heart on my sleeve all the time. I'm always sending hearts and emojis to people, and I'm always just spreading love because it's like this also goes into like religion and stuff. I genuinely believe that like I respect everybody's beliefs and religions and whatnot, although I might not align with them or I might not agree with their beliefs. I genuinely believe at the end of the day, all of us believe in the same thing, and that's love because
Mhm.
within that law of duality there within hate is love, and within specific religions, there is a specific hatred maybe towards something, but there is love within that hatred. There is a fire, there is a passion in order like to I understand that it might be like maybe kind of a moral thing where they're like they hate something so that they can maybe have a sense of value or a sense of morality towards having a love for something else that is much stronger than that hatred. So that's why it's
Mhm.
like I can understand that aspect. So I don't necessarily believe in the hatred that they have, and I don't necessarily believe in all of the beliefs that they have, but I do believe in the love that they have and the passion that they have and what they want to spread to others. So yeah, I think that's honestly the best way to end this episode is just fucking love people, man. Like
Just
there's no need for hate, there's no
yeah.
need for masks. There's just be yourself. Just fucking love people, man. That's it.
Some old lady pisses you off in Walmart, just go give her a hug.
Literally.
That's all we need.
Yeah, she didn't get a coupon or some shit. Just go buy her some flowers. Like, come on.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, this was super deep. I had a feeling this was gonna be really cool. Thanks for just kind of opening up and being vulnerable with me. I know
Thanks
you've
for
been.
inviting me, for having me.
Yeah, yeah, of course, man. And I know you've been going through a lot, and I just want to give you kudos for you're super fucking young and you're still going after what you're going after. You have the vibes that you do, you have the wisdom that you do, and I want you to never give that up. Always keep fucking believing in yourself. If you ever have that feeling of loss, if you ever feel like you're getting lost or anything like that, or you're not maybe pursuing the right things, it's like, yeah, just kind of reflect on this episode and just kind of think about your purpose, think about that love, think about your mom, think about the just everything that you're trying to do, because I believe in you genuinely. Since we first met, we hardly know each other, but I feel like we've known each
Mhm.
other for a lifetime almost. It's kind of one of those vibes. So yeah, this was super awesome. Thanks for joining.
I appreciate it once again, and same for you. I definitely look forward to seeing you post this. I definitely look forward to rewatching it, and definitely look forward to seeing you continue down the path that you're going on, because I feel like me and you are gonna do great things. We got the mindset, we got the ambition, and it's just a matter of just doing at this
Yeah.
point.
Oh yeah.